guys, and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and in today's video we are going to update you guys on my saltwater tank, especially now that I have had my banngi for 2 weeks now. Yes, I've had them in the aquarium for 2 weeks now. In my last video we talked about my entire process getting them, about them drip acclimating and all of that, and I'm very glad that it was actually rather successful. But what's about the fish themselves? I actually have never had this scared of a fish before in my aquarium. Like, of course, fish are going to hide, that's normal. But, like, these guys are just terrified of me. For the first couple of days, every time I came near the tank, they would hide. And sure, because of the way my aquascape is built, you could actually kind of spy on them. But they definitely were probably the most skittish fish that I've ever had. And I mean, I've had tetras, I've had cory cats, I've had and koi cats tend to hide a lot. I have shell dwellers, and even the shell dwellers. The shell dwellers have never been this skittish. These banngi have been really skittish of me. Granted, they're very small. I think they're about maybe an inch. I know it doesn't really look like it. I know they look even smaller than that because the tank is pretty big. It's a 32-gallon compared to these two little guys, but they'll grow. I believe they get to be about 3 inches, so they have some growing to do. Now, I did have one little problem with them other than them being so scared of me, and that is they absolutely would not go after my food. So, I mean, I read somewhere that they eat flakes. So I got some flakes, I got some pellets, and obviously I got these guys from Live Aquaria. I forgot to tell you guys that last week when I unboxed them and did my whole acclimation video on them. Yeah, I got them from Live Aquaria, and I should just listen to Live Aquaria. It says on their website that they eat mysis shrimp, and yeah, these guys, they seem to go after the flakes. They ignored the pellets. They ignored the pellets the first day, but they go after the flakes, and yet they keep spitting them out. So I didn't know if it was because of the type of flake I was feeding or something like that. Maybe if I had a different brand or something. They're so picky. I didn't even think they would eat mysis shrimp. But the biggest problem of it was, and this is just the thing about money, right? I really didn't have any money until next week to buy mysis for him. So I only had this flake food that was maybe $2. And they were not eating it at all. Luckily, I actually do have copepods in this tank. They're in the filter compartment, and I just grabbed some filter media and shook them in the tank, and you could actually, I should have filmed it, I didn't, but you could actually see some of the copepods fall off. Trust me, those guys were so skittish, they would not eat on camera. They would not come near me when I had the camera on them. They really didn't even like me at the tank at all. They were so skittish of me. And luckily, the only reason why they survived the first week is because, again, I had those copepods. If it wasn't for that, they were not eating for the first 2 days. They were not eating my flakes at all. And they ignored the pellets, which were PE mysis pellets. They ignored those. They ignored those the very first day. The very first day. So eventually, the next week, of course, I got some mysis shrimp for him. And frozen mysis shrimp. I thawed them and I put them in the tank. And again, I tried to film it, they will not feed for me on camera. They will not feed for me on camera at all. They're still very skittish. They still kind of hang out in the back, underneath the rock, trying to stay away from me. But they ate the mice's shrimp and did not spit it out at all. So that was great. And I mean, I even tried, of course, garlic guard. So I had the same problem with my shell builder cichlids, right? When I first got them, my shell builder cichlids wouldn't eat the flakes, and then I put garlic guard on them, and they ate them up. I tried that with the flakes, and I guess there was just something in the flakes that they didn't like to eat, because they weren't going after the flakes, and they ignored those pellets completely. But I put mices in there, and yeah, they went after it, and they did not spit it out. The only thing is they're still so small, so I put a whole cube in there, and I kind of wish I didn't, because I don't even think they ate half of it, because they're still just very small fish, you know. You can't put too much in that belly of theirs, but it was actually cute to finally see them eat. And again, they're starting to come out. They're starting to get used to me. They're just so skittish of a fish. I've never had a fish that was just so skittish. Kind of interesting, I have to admit. But let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the tank. So, I have been wanting, if you guys don't know, even though I talk about it in almost every single one of these videos, I want to keep seahorses in this aquarium. And yes, banngi can go with seahorses. I made sure of that. I want to put seahorses in this aquarium. Of course, this is my first saltwater tank, so seahorses were not going to be my first saltwater fish. That's why I got the banngi first, so I can learn how to maintain a saltwater tank before I try something like seahorses. But I do want to put seahorses in this tank. And because of that, I also want the tank to naturally age a little bit. And if you ask me, it's aging rather slowly. A little too slowly, if you ask me. But after 2 days of putting my banngi in here, I finally, and I waited 2 weeks with fish food and putting stuff into this tank. I waited 2 weeks to finally get an ugly phase, right? And it never happened, so I eventually got my ulva and then my fish. And just within 2 days of having the fish in there, I finally started getting my quote-unquote ugly phase, which is great because that means the tank is aging. Now, what's the ugly phase of a saltwater tank? It's basically when algae takes over everything. Now, luckily, I have my rock is, of course, purple, which means I shouldn't have too much of a big algae phase, because you see, when you have just perfect white rock, algae just loves to grow on that stuff like crazy. So it shouldn't grow like crazy on my purple rock. However, I do know is that on the whitest parts of the rock, yeah, algae is definitely growing on that, and it's definitely growing on the bottom of my aquarium. Now, I have done a water change, but I haven't removed any of the algae for a couple of different reasons. First off, I do have coralline algae. I did feed this tank coralline algae, but of course, or seed this tank coralline algae, but of course that's not going to grow for a little while. I don't want to do too much of a water change because I don't want to take out any coralline algae, possibly algae spores that might be in the water. I don't want to take that out, or at least too much of that out, because I do want that stuff to grow. Another reason why I didn't take it out is because this is, of course, a natural process. There's really no need to. It will go away in time. But the biggest reason why I didn't take it out, and I know you guys are going to call me crazy for it, but I kind of like the look. Okay, maybe not the brownest parts of it, but like, I always like a little bit of algae in my aquariums. It makes the rock look a little bit more natural to me. I really enjoy the look, and again, like this is a bare bottom aquarium. I'm not putting sand in this tank because of my seahorses in the future, and I want coralline algae growing on the bottom of the tank, of course, but until I get that, I kind of like the look of this green algae growing on the bottom of the tank. I think it looks really kind of cool. But let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm crazy and that this tank looks disgusting to you. Let me know. Let me know. But considering that this tank is indeed 3 months at this point, I'm pretty happy with the result. However, again, I figured I would get an ugly face within the first month, right? You usually get an ugly face within the first month. No, it took me 3 months until I had an ugly face. It took me literally 2 days to have my banngi in here before I got an ugly face. Well, what can you do? But of course that means I was able to turn on my protein skimmer, which that will be in my next video. I will be doing an unboxing and then talking about how I set it up and talking how the protein skimmer have been doing in this tank. Yeah, that's going to be a video in its own. But as for now, yeah, I'm pretty much happy. I finally got my banngi to eat. I got some algae growing in this aquarium. The tank is aging rather slowly, but it is aging, which means I will soon be able to get my fish. Of course, I want to give it a little time, just to kind of go through its kind of odd phases naturally, as well as I want to give myself some time to get used to maintaining this type of tank before I go and buy a $300 fish. You know what I mean? Thank you guys for watching, and I am out.